was featured in Volume 1, Issue 1 of our zine. And the common theme throughout this series, Friends in High Places, is that all of these women played a role in making our first issue and really our first 2 years so much of what it is. And Shayba played a role in an especially important role as she challenged me in the most delicate way that you possibly can to someone who is excited about a new idea or new venture, to be responsible with my message. And I am forever grateful for that because, as we all know, the road to hell was paved with good intentions. And so, although I mean well when I say that weed is very much so a good thing, we must also acknowledge um, that like anything else in this world, some people can abuse and become addicted to cannabis. And in spreading my message on the enjoyment of recreational and medicinal cannabis, I must also acknowledge the lack of regulation and testing, meaning that most people, especially those who consume on the black market, probably have no idea what they're really smoking, where it came from, etc. And, biological warfare is a thing, it gets deep. But she planted that seed in my mind. And like I said, I will forever be grateful. She is the owner and head designer of Mahnal Brass Jewelry. She's a loving mother, wife, and an inspiration to the girls simply by living in her purpose. And that's very beautiful and a very simple concept that not a lot of people understand, but I feel like she understands it and lives it very well. But I could go on. I'm going to let her do the talking. Everybody, please welcome Shayba Diaz Muhammad.
Hi.
How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. Okay, now before I continue, I feel like I call you Shayba. Is
Mhm.
it Shaba or is it Shayba?
It's actually Shayba.
Shayba.
Hmm.
Okay. Because I was saying it like that. And I'm like, did I just give this girl? It sounds so like Sheba. And I'm like, did I just start calling her that? And I was like, it's definitely so. I was like, okay.
Can I tell you something so funny? I actually don't even notice which way people say it until.
Really?
Yep.
I'm sure because it's so just like, okay. But yes, I definitely go between the two all the time. And I'm like, wait, which one is it? Is she? Because, people always call me Rach for short. Like people give you a
Uh,
nickname. Like I don't not like it, but I wouldn't choose Rach as my nickname, but people always call me Rach. So I'm like, whatever. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Like people definitely call me Shay, and I do
I
not.
call you Shay.
I
Shay
do
Ba.
not. I respond. That's all. I know what I'm being spoken to. That's all.
So how has your year been so far? We're at what, like 2 weeks in? This is the second week. How has it been for you?
Um, Full already,
I'm
but
sure.
not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. Definitely, I am so grateful, super grateful. First of all, to be in 2021
Hello.
because yes, there are people that I'm sure we all know that didn't make it into this year, with us that we started 2020 with. So first of all, I just want to acknowledge my gratitude for that. But yeah, I'm feeling like a new person as far as, we're in the first 2 weeks. So I just have to compare it to 2020. But I feel like the person that I walked into 2020 as, I am not that person. Thank God. I'm so grateful for that growth. So yes, I feel like I'm in a beautiful space and I'm so happy to be here and like sharing everything that's going on with you. So yeah.
Yay, same. I have already experienced, like you said, I'm a completely different person than I was last year, and in good ways, in many good ways. And I feel like I started my year off last year. It was on the up and up, and then COVID happened, and all these fallouts from that. But it made me a much stronger person to be able to deal with the very many things I've already had happen this year. So, like you said, it's growth, and I am thankful for it. Um, change is the only constant in life. So we got to
Right.
get, it's a lot of change going on right now, but we have to make sure we're taking care of our minds and bodies and keep pushing forward. It's just growth.
That's
Um,
perfect.
excuse me. So if you guys haven't read volume 1, you should. It's on our site. But Shayba, Shayba, for those of you who just joined, we were talking about surnames and like Shay. I always call her Shay or Shayba, and the correct pronunciation of her name is Shayba.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
and
Or
that's
you
just
can say Shay. You can just say
Shayba.
Shay.
I like Shayba. Okay.
Okay.
But Shayba told us that art and creativity in general have always played a huge role in her life, and that you actually went to school briefly for fashion design and you studied fine art, and then you started making jewelry on the side. People fell in love with the jewelry. They wanted you to make them some, and then Mahnal was born. But you got to read the article for the whole spiel. She really gets in depth. But can you speak a little more to your journey for those who haven't heard, and how you ended up here, and why Manal? What does it mean? All those things.
Absolutely. So, just to try to keep a long story short, because this has been a 10, going on 11-year journey for me leading up to this point, which is like crazy to say and even think about. But yes, I did. I went to school for fashion design in Chicago. I had every intention of being a fashion designer, but I was kind of like in this weird in between space where we didn't make enough well, we made too much according to like, I don't know how they measure that stuff, but we made too much for financial aid, but realistically we didn't have enough for my mom to actually pay for me to go to school.
I
So
think that's most people, which I'm like, that's a
okay.
problem.
Exactly, exactly. So I had to stop, and I had to start working. So I was working as a visual merchandiser and an accessory specialist, and I kept spending all of my paycheck on all the accessories and jewelry at the place that I worked. And I was like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. I'm pretty sure I can make some of this stuff. So literally, that's how I started, just making my own jewelry to save myself money. And like you said, like my friends, family, people started asking me, and I was like, maybe I can make my own money doing this. So that literally is how it started. It was not a linear path by any means from that point to this one. It was kind
Mhm.
of
Of course.
like scribble, and then you end up at this point that you're at now, and you're like, wow, that was progress. That's what progress looks like.
Hmm.
So, yep. So, yeah, just, long story short, I went through a lot of different phases and so many experiences in my life. One of the most significant was the passing of my father, the transition of my father. That was a huge, I did a lot of soul searching, at that point. And one of the things that I said was that because my father, he was extremely gifted, but I don't feel like the world really got to see that. And
Mm-hmm.
so one of the things that I promised myself was, well, I'm going to figure out what my purpose is. So before I leave this earth, I want to make an impact, with it. And that really was like, I would say, the first phase that kind of set me on this path going towards what I have finally now. Gosh, that was in 2014. And I finally now, 6 years later, feel like that question has sort of been answered for me. So I'm walking into 2021 with so many lessons, so many experiences, so many struggles, but that all is a part of the beauty of the journey. The struggle is what qualifies us for that next stage, for that next chapter. So I'm grateful for all of it. And I hope I answered that question well. So
No, no, you did. And then some, drop some gems and all of that. I'm sure that people agree. So many follow-up questions, like my mind is like
yeah.
buzzing. But so you talk about the scribble, like the process, and I think so much of that, and then that how you realize, you started the journey in 2014, and now here you are just realizing, oh, but I think this, like, all of it, it's always a, oh, like you're always having
Mhm.
you're always growing into your purpose and who you are. And I think I've always recognized your light, but I've definitely seen you've come out more. You started sharing more of yourself, your purpose with the world, and it's been such a beautiful thing for me to see because starting with tea and incense, like we would just talk about things and ideas, and we worked together. I did some photo shoots for Mahnal, and just
Yep.
I'm like, she needs to be, everybody needs to be hearing this, and like, and so it's so refreshing to finally see you, like, and like really good content too, like good, amazing, beautiful job. But all that to say, I be just on here giving the girls praises. I need to change the theme of this show. I just be on here just gushing about the girls, but it's beautiful to see, like you just said, like you just living in your purpose. And for so many people, I was just talking with a friend about this the other day. That is inspiring. So, but my question in all that is, in all that scribble, what has been for you, like your most defining moment? Like, oh wow, like what has been like that moment for you so far?
Yeah, so I feel like whatever my most recent struggle is, the lesson I took from that is always going to be my like the most important thing at the time. And so the most recent thing that I can relate it to is honestly like the whole 2020 has been such a challenge, to be honest. It's been such
Mm-hmm.
a struggle and such a challenge, but that also is the beauty of it. I learned so much about myself throughout that year. And at the beginning, when the pandemic first began, I really was in a position where I wanted to be online. I wanted my business. So I had a website and everything, but I was by no means like making all of my sales and doing my business online. And so I was in a position where my revenue was coming from doing art shows and pop-ups and all of these in-person events, and that was how I made my revenue for my business. That was the bulk of my revenue. And so I always wanted to be online though. So when the pandemic happened, obviously that whole stream of revenue was eliminated. It was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Like, I have to learn this stuff and quick. I have to be able to pivot. But it wasn't just like a decision like that. It was very much so a process of being okay with being in a position of insecurity. I had literally just moved into a new, more expensive studio.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a lot happening at that point in time. And so, I prayed and I went to God and I was like, if you want me to shut this business down, just put it in my heart to accept that and put it in my heart to be open to and fall in love with whatever it is that you want me to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my prayer. That was it. And so after that, the unfortunately, all of the stuff with George Floyd happened, and then everybody wanted to shop black and support black business. And my shop blew up. It blew up to the point where I couldn't even handle it. So that's when I had to hire my first employee. That was not what I had planned, but look at God. Look how he
That
does
is so beautiful. That
Look
is
how he
so
does things.
beautiful.
But I'm gonna tell you, there was also an internal like thing that I was dealing with because I knew that that was coming off of the heels of
Mm-hmm.
something so painful.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in a position where it was like, how can I be accepting of this? How can I receive this right now in the right spirit and in the right mindset? And then I got my response, and that response was, it's about time that the attention was put on us economically. It's about time. We deserve all of it. All of it. And you look like you want to say something.
No, I was just gonna say, that is so deep that you say that, because number one, I would have had no idea. Like, I've obviously, I guess it was after like the George Floyd thing, but you're featured in Vogue, like so many amazing things have been happening for you. And I've always, in my mind though, like that's your brand has always been that. Like it's always been there. Like I had no idea that a majority of your revenue came from art shows. Like I knew that you did them and that you had a huge presence there, but I always thought you were this like online phenomenon, because you have such a diverse, you've always had such a diverse following, and an international following. So that isn't new. I guess it's just gotten bigger. So you've always been this person, and I've always seen that. So it's shocking to hear. But I mean, this a similar thing. I was working doing promotional products for Staples and then doing this on the side, like just like my passion, and then lost that opportunity. I was relatively new in that position and I was partially furloughed and then I got fully furloughed. And it was when I was partially furloughed, and I started spending more time on my business and like trying to live in my purpose. And I just had I think I because we were working from home, I may have like smoked too much or something, but I was just really in my head and thinking, and I became very sad that I had a moment where I felt like, wow, did people have to die and there be a pandemic and all this go on for me to realize and have this moment with myself? And I felt very sad in that moment. I cried,
Mm,
and it was just me crying for the world, and really in that moment, like, okay, what am I going to do? I can't let that feeling, because that's a grim, very kind of dark, and it can hinder you to
that's fine.
revel. Yeah, it can hinder you to revel in that. So, I had to move on, but I definitely acknowledge that. And like you said, it was something that I was able to grow from. But it
Mm,
is something that, even especially as a Black person, business, you have to sit with. And because it is kind of like a, if I'm using the term correct, like a martyr, it's good to know that these people have not passed in vain. But
mhm,
and not even just George Floyd, all the people who came before him, Tamir Rice, Mike Brown, all of them. It's I'm sure it's comforting to know that it was not in vain.
mm.
But it could get deep. I started my cycle today not trying to cry. But also, so can you tell why Mahnal? Why did you choose that name? And why do you choose to name the pieces in Arabic as you do? I know that's something you've done traditionally. I don't know if you still do that, but if you could just talk a little bit about that when you get settled. Oh, hey. Hey, oh my gosh. Shay do not be showing her son, and I do not blame you, but oh my God, hi.
Okay, sorry about that. I had to make a quick
No
adjustment.
worries.
So, yes, you asked where the name Manal came from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, that actually came when I was speaking about the transition of my dad. That came out of that soul searching process.
Okay.
So I knew I was at a point. So again, I had been making jewelry for about 10 years. Not then, but now.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a lot of experimentation trying to figure out like what's my style and identity and kind of voice of my, brand gonna be, or not brand, because I wasn't thinking brand at that point, but just what I was creating. Every artist wants to find their voice, right? Or identity. And so I gone through this, long period of just experimentation, trying all these different styles and stuff. And I eventually got to a point where the name that I had previously, which I'm not going to say because I never really liked it, but I used it. But
Like,
yeah,
now I want
so
to know.
oh my gosh, I'm sure you could find it if you look. But yeah, so I went through this soul searching process and I felt like, okay, now it's time to evolve. It's time for a new name. It's time to give it a new identity. The jewelry that I was making, I was like, I'm done with that. I'm ready to do a new style of jewelry. Like it just felt like it was time to change. And so I was like, okay, I don't know what the name is going to be, but I knew that it had to be something meaningful. It had to be something that had a purpose that, resonated for me and would resonate to, all the women that would be buying and wearing the jewelry. So when I'm in a position like that, I say, okay, I'm just going to open myself to receive it. So I waited and I just, kind of went about life as normal, kind of like looking for it, but just letting it, come to me when it's ready, not something I was going to force by any means. And I was actually watching a YouTube video. She's a beauty vlogger,
Mhm.
and I heard her name. And actually, she didn't go by her name, like on her YouTube, but I heard her name in one of her videos. Somebody said it or she mentioned it or something, but her name was Manal. And when I heard it, I said, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Like it just struck me immediately. And so I went to go look at the meaning, and it was an Arabic name. I wanted the name to be Arabic, but I went to go look up the meaning, and it meant attainment, achievement, and success. And I
Mm.
said,
that's what I was waiting on. That's the name that I was waiting on. That's what I want for myself. That's what I want for women. That's what I want women to want for themselves. So it's like, that is the name. That's the one. I felt it.
It's the name that makes sense because the name in itself, it sounds grand but feminine, strong, but it's like a perfect balance. It rolls off your tongue nicely. Like, yes, you did that with the name, or the spirit did that with the name. It's like
Yes.
you prayed for it, it came to you.
Yes.
Um, what I don't want to go over, I know I have
Mhm.
you have lots of things to do. What time do I have you until?
Oh, we can just keep rolling.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. I didn't
Yeah.
know if because I there's a slot. So,
Mhm.
um, you guys, if you have questions that you want to ask, you can put them in the chat, or if you want it to be private, you can put in the Q&A. But I just wanted to read some of the comments.
Mhm.
People, this is people commenting today. You over here preaching. Michael said her story resonates so much. Jasmine, amen. Lots of yeses, lots of come ons. Yeah, guys, if you have specific questions for her, you can start to ask them in the Q&A. I want to do a better job at making sure I get to people's questions and comments.
Love answering questions. So I'm happy to be a resource. Please ask away.
Please, guys. So during all of this madness, like I said, I would have never known Mahnal had a bump in the road in all of her grandeur, but
Girl.
you wear it very well. You always present yourself very gracefully. You all like even in your business content, like everything's just always so well done and well put together. And this has been a very crazy year. Like even during this crazy year, you've been able to maintain that. So I have to ask, how do you do it? How do you stay sane? How do you stay so zen and graceful?
Oh, lots of prayer, lots of meditation. But you know what? I'm gonna tell you something right now. So my brand is all about intentional living. It's all about slow living. And it's evolved from that point to where I've established. So during this pandemic, I've gained a mentor. And so one of the things that he told me to do was to make a vision board for Manal. And literally, as crazy as it sounds, I've never made a vision board in my life. So I
Wow.
I know. And I'm a creative, like that's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's all I'm gonna say.
But
That's I can't.
go figure. So I made this vision board for Manal, and I took like I took a day completely off and just focused on that for the day. And my cousin, who's also my production assistant, she helped me with it. So we were making the vision board, and it was such a moving process because we were being really intentional, and I was really asking myself like the tough, deeper questions about what am I doing this for?
Hmm.
It can't
Hmm.
be for the money because I've worked for the money before and I burned myself out.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it has to be for something that's going to refuel me. It has to be, you know, it has to come from within. And so I'm going through, I'm thinking about, you know, what is the purpose of all of this going to be? And all of this stuff has been unfolding ever since I made that vision board. And so one of the things that I always say is, I did not make Manal and this whole concept of slow living and intentional living. I didn't implement this, and I don't talk about this every day through my work because I've mastered it. I talk about it because it's what I need in
Mm.
my life.
Mm.
It helps me
Mm.
stay intentional. It helps me stay
Okay.
mindful, and it gives me literally, I say that the pieces that I design. So every piece of jewelry that I wear, like this necklace, for example, I'm wearing the Hassa major necklace, and Hassa, that means pebble in Arabic. And so the piece, my meditation behind that was visualizing a river stone. So if you ever seen a river stone, they're always smooth. They're always really polished and smooth, beautiful, you know, little pebbles. But the reason that they're smooth is because of the pressure of water. The pressure of water removes all of those surface, all that surface texture, all those nicks and bumps and all that stuff that, you know, may be sticking out and protruding. The pressure of that water is what smooths the surface,
Mm.
and staying in that process is what smooths the surface. So the meaning behind the Hassa Major necklace and all the Hassa collection is about staying in our process of refinement. That all of the struggles and the challenges that we go through refine us and help us elevate, help us, become more of our truer selves can come to the surface. And so all of the pieces that I design are centered on a meditation or some type of characteristic or an attribute to carry as wearable reminders. And so I design these pieces because I need those reminders too. So I'm very much like what you see from Mahnal is me expressing what I need. So not that I didn't go through chaos during the past
Yeah,
year,
yeah.
but I'm expressing that need and reclaiming that space and atmosphere for myself and offering that to women at the same time through the work that I make.
I think that's so beautiful. And your jewelry is just so beautiful, and it's because
Thank
all
you.
that intention that you put into it. But I like what you said. You stay sane by just being honest with yourself about what it is that you need, and having the tough conversations with yourself, and praying and meditating, because you got to pray and meditate through those tough conversations. For sure. But that goes into the first question. um, Asked, what do you feel like the most difficult process of healing is for you?
That is a good question. What is the most difficult process of healing?
I guess the
I
most difficult part
or
of
different
healing.
difficult part. I would say probably identifying that the areas that we need healing in. I would say that's the most
Yeah.
difficult because you can't really change until you're aware that there needs to be a change. It's like
Mm,
walking and your shoes untied and you keep tripping and you wonder like why can't I like walk properly, until
mhm,
somebody says, "Hey, your shoe is untied." We can
mhm.
always react and get offended that somebody pointed out something that we did wrong, or may even decide to reject it because we don't want to believe certain things about ourselves. But being
Yeah,
able to
yeah.
identify those areas. Go ahead, Rara. I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's okay.
But being able to identify that and come to terms with our truth, I would say, is probably the most difficult part of the healing process because then we can heal. You have to be able to feel the pain and see the pain before you can heal it.
Yes, what is the saying? Uh God, why is it fleeting me? Because I say this all the time, but just this actualization, like just realizing, being aware of something is like the first step. That's like half the battle, is basically what people say. And that's really true. Like when you really find out, like, oh, this is who I am, or this is what this is, then you can truly move forward. Um, yes, you can't heal what you don't reveal. Yes, thank you, Juju. um, Shia said, Shayba, your jewelry pieces are so beautiful and have a subtle elegance. My question is, has that always been your style, even when you first started making jewelry?
I would say my style was a little bit of everything when I started. I was very much exploring, and I still love all types of jewelry. But I was very much, when I first started, I was very much exploring and just trying different things on and decided what fit and what didn't fit. And over time, some things fell away and some things got stronger. And so eventually, I always relate my business to kind of like a baby, you
Mm-hmm.
know it it takes time for it to kind of develop that personality. So Manal is, it comes from me, but it's very much like she is her own person. So that's her personality. I have jewelry that I buy from other people. I have these big clay earrings that are like colorful blue earrings. That's not something I would ever design for Manal, but I still love it anyway. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's such a weird question to answer, but Mama has her personality. And I guess, okay, I'm sorry.
You are totally fine.
Okay.
I know that you're a mom.
Yes.
And he is like, who is this person my mom's giving her attention to right now?
pretty much, because he stays right here.
I understand. My nephew is the same way. If I'm like trying to talk to my sister, he will literally like it's so just so innocently. He will literally come between us, like it, like pay attention to me, please.
Oh my
So I
gosh.
totally understand.
And this
Uh,
is a part of the new, everybody's working from home. This is a part
mhm.
of the that come
Hey,
along with the territory. So,
exactly. But so a few weeks ago, I had the paddle rings and they were my favorite because I
mhm.
wear very simple pieces. I love your pieces. Um, I lost my paddle rings. So I am in the market to get some new pieces, and I've been seeing that you just launched something in the fall, right? Like a new line in the fall.
So I did a little bit of a sneak, like a secret soft launch.
Okay, okay,
So it's not launched yet. It's not available on the website yet. That actually
okay.
was kind of like a preview, a limited time preview to the
Oh, well,
spring
see,
summer collection. So I'll
I
be
get the
doing
newsletter, you
another.
guys.
Yep.
Sorry.
So no, I'll be doing another virtual kind of like secret sale before we fully launch, when the collection is like finally ready.
Okay, so can people can shop the collection on Instagram though now, can't they?
Yeah, so you can shop on the collection that we have
Yeah,
out
yeah.
right
Okay.
now. You can shop that. Yep, you can shop it on Instagram. You can shop it on the website. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then what was my question? Oh, I wanted to ask you what is your favorite piece? Like I'm sure it probably changes but what and maybe you have like one for different occasions, but what are your favorite pieces or piece?
Yes. So this is actually one from. So it was the Hassa. There's actually a Hassa ring that I was wearing
I
like
love
every day
that.
for a long time.
The
But right
long like
now, no. So that's the Adas ring. The Hassa
okay.
ring is like, it's kind of like a signet ring, and it has this oval shape on the top, and then kind of like these like layers underneath it.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, that was a part of the Pebble collection that I was just talking about. But the piece that I've been wearing really frequently now are the Vine hoops. So that's actually a part of the spring summer collection that'll be coming out. And that one is a representation of giving our. Okay, you want to go ask daddy for help? Go ask daddy for help. Okay. So so that is from so yeah, the Vine earrings. That's from the Vine collection that'll be coming out. And the meditation behind that, just real quick,
Mhm.
is I was meditating on giving the effort and energy of ourselves to our visions or our dreams, the things that we want to, manifest and bring into reality. And so I meditated on what the purpose of a vine is. And a vine is a stem,
Mhm.
but the purpose of a stem or a vine is to deliver the nutrients. So I'm thinking about, fruit bearing, plants or vegetable bearing plants. Their purpose is to deliver the nutrition, all the sustenance needed to create that fruit. And so I think about fruit as that object of our manifestation being physically present here with us. And so
Mhm.
that vine is the channel that delivers, what it needs. And so I think about our effort and all of the things needed to bear fruit, the things that we want to bring into reality. So that the idea behind that is just a reminder to nurture our visions, nurture our dreams, and really be intentional with how we're living, and whether that's in alignment with bringing that future thing that we're envisioning into reality. So I've been wearing those hoops. Like, I'm not wearing them today because I was like,
Mhm.
I need to take a break. But I've been wearing those hoops like every day consistently.
Why wouldn't you want to wear a piece of jewelry that's what it means? Why wouldn't you, people? So do you put the jewelry meditations like in like when people order jewelry, do you have like the what it
A
means?
little insert. I
Mhm.
don't. I need to do it. So it's on the website. I know.
I know
It's
it's on
on
the website, but I'm like, girl, yes.
I know I need to, because I need to just like sit down and create, because if I do the cards, they got to be cute, so I just need to sit down and
Exactly.
like
And I love when
design
you create
them.
things.
So I just need to do it. I have no excuses.
Yes, I would love. So when I order mine, hopefully I can have my little jewelry meditation because I know it's gonna be cute. I could set it up like my little, like all of my like I said, I don't wear a lot of jewelry. I wear the same pieces all the time, which is why I'm really
Hmm.
pissed about my paddle rings, but that's okay. But I like
We'll take
set
care of that.
everything up. Look, I told you I'm shopping. I'm in the market now, but I set everything up on my dresser so it's like laid out and cute. And I would definitely like have my like jewelry meditation and like style my necklace on there.
Yes.
And I would just love that. But yes. So other than oh, I did have this one question I wanted to ask. So I know that you and it's about so in my introduction, I kind of told you guys that Shay is the reason why I am she planted the seed of me, having just this well-rounded approach to consumption and being responsible with the message of consumption because like I said, there are so many things with cannabis not being regulated and regularly tested, or they're not being, clear guidelines about what's going on with that. It's free game, it just is what it is out there. And that can be very scary. Just like even with the food that we eat, we really don't know exactly what it is that we're consuming, but it's a regulated market. We have some idea, or we're able to grow our own fruit and not be, or fruits and veggies and not be arrested for it. So, all that to say, have you reconsidered, like with just because it is legal now, have you considered like being a part, or like being have you not necessarily has your mind changed, because that's not what I want to ask, but are you interested in the legislation, just period? Because I know that you used to consume but you don't anymore, so just are you even interested in what's going on currently in the state of Missouri?
So I would say, as far as the legality of it, that doesn't really bear any weight on sort of my stance and kind of whether I participate in it or not, and I don't.
Hmm.
But I would say, if there's anything that concerns me about that, it's about our people going to jail for it and
Yeah.
other people benefiting and profiting off of it.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing. And then also just our education behind knowing what we're consuming and what's in what we're consuming and what is doing to our bodies. So I would definitely, I'm not the scientist behind this,
Same.
but so I'm not even gonna try to approach a topic that I'm not well versed and
Mhm.
studied in. There was a point in time where I did all of my research and made my decision, but after I made my decision, it's just kind of like you
That's
know
what it is.
out of my head. But exactly. But I would highly recommend anybody. Rara, can you hold on a second? I would highly recommend anybody who wants to be responsible in doing that research to check out
Mhm.
Dr. Wesley's work. So he, I would say, is at the forefront of championing. What am I trying to say? Championing
Championing.
um, when it comes to the health and wellness, specifically about our people when it comes to our relationship with marijuana. So I would definitely recommend people check out Dr. Wesley's work because he's done a ton, he's dedicated a large chunk of his career as a scholar towards this. And so that's whose work I cite when I did my research. And so I would highly recommend, his name is Dr. Wesley. You can find him on YouTube. But I would definitely recommend listening to his lectures, but also looking for his books, his work that you can actually purchase and read and like really get in depth with it. Definitely, especially if that's an area where you want to be well versed and have a real well-rounded understanding. I would highly recommend his research.
Dr. Wesley.
Dr. Wesley Muhammad. That's right.
Dr. Wesley Muhammad, people. look him up. I think after we did our interview for the zine, I looked at some of his research and or listened to some of his lectures on YouTube, and it was very enlightening and inspiring, and it changed the way I still do consume, but it changed the way I consumed, and just it made me a more informed consumer. I will say that. And,
Yes.
just because we're pro cannabis, we still have to, just how, like if you're pro Biden or pro Trump, you still got to look and see what the other side talking about. You got to know
Yes.
what's going on.
Yes. And you know what? At the end of the day, it really is about what is actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? What is actually happening to our bodies? And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't even look at it as like sides or anything, because again, we talked, in our last conversation about my mom who, she was going through cancer. And that was something that we had a conversation about. And, if I were in that position and I, experienced that, because a lot of us do, unfortunately,
Yeah.
if I experienced that, that would be one of the first things that I look at to use medicinally,
Mm-hmm.
to try to, help heal myself. And so, yeah, I would just say, definitely doing that research and looking at the effects that it has hormonally, especially on men. Being an anti androgen and endocrine disruptor, and just do that research. Definitely just
What is an
under.
anti-androgen for the people who may not know? Not me, but the other people.
So I know. Look, okay, now you want me to start talking about science. So I know it has to do with estrogen and the fact that marijuana has an estrogenic effect on the body hormonally. And so for men, it can produce, for example, like man boobs, but it can also disrupt that hormonal balance. For women, when you have too much estrogen, it actually creates testosterone. Not a lot of people know that. And so the way that it attaches to the oh my god, see, look, I don't want it to be a
Look, we gave
science.
y'all the warning, and you can go do the research yourself. We're sharing our knowledge of what we know here.
Yes,
Okay, people.
yes, I'm gonna stop right there. So
Okay.
yes.
But okay, so it's an anti. Yeah, I do know that. I think that it's unfortunate that there aren't. I feel like there should at least be more studies out there about it for people who do want to use it, because I know some women, maybe not necessarily THC, but some women still consume while they're with child. And I haven't seen any cases where it's been like, oh, her child is like, it didn't turn out very well, or versus something like drinking. But at the same time, you don't know, it's still science at the end of the day. So we have a natural endocannabinoid system, and we're able to feel the effects of cannabis because those cannabinoids attach to our receptors just naturally, and they interact and cause things to happen and change in our body. And we don't really know how that works when a woman is with child, or how it works in children. I think there have been some studies that have shown, and still we don't even know how valid this is, but some studies have shown that especially for men, younger boys who smoke, like under like 16, it causes your brain to not function as well, but it doesn't have that same effect in women. And that may have something to do with THC being the female component of cannabis, and just to women just working in tandem through nature to create beautiful things. But anyway, I could go on with that. Yes, I be educated, people, about what it is that you're smoking. Like, it is, I do want to spread that message of, we was put here for you and me, and it's a beautiful thing, and it can be. But just, we have to be educated consumers, especially in such a crazy market. I mean, people are going as far as spraying fentanyl on marijuana or CBD to make it have more THC effects, and that can kill you. I mean, there's lots of crazy things going on, and most people still consume on the black market. The black market is still ruling the cannabis industry, for better or worse. But we have to be educated about what we're consuming. And my girlfriend here was like, sis, I'm not judging, but just make sure you know what you're doing. And I received it.
I had to come off mute just to laugh with you.
Yes, so let me check and see. No more questions. I could go on and on, but I know that Ra is like, Mommy, it's
Oh my gosh.
time. And I don't want to be the reason. So, do you have any final words, any final thoughts, any final questions before we hang it up, guys?
Oh, are you asking me or them?
You both, both.
Oh, okay. So yeah, for me, not really. Just, well, you know what? I'll say this. I will say this because it's on my mind, so I probably should say it. Um, One of the biggest things that I learned this past year was to shift the way that I see struggle and shift the way that I see challenges that
Mhm,
happen in my life. I feel like our first reaction is always to want to avoid what causes us pain naturally,
mhm,
you
mhm.
know, but we have to shift the way that we see challenges and actually recognizing that embedded within that challenge is actually the next phase for our success, the next phase for our growth. And so I really look at, I'm not even going to say just 2020 because we're still in it, but a
Yeah.
period of darkness that we all can see that, and I'm sure we all have been dissatisfied with the way that the world has looked up until today,
Mhm.
even, you know. And so recognizing that darkness is actually the space for creation, that really should inspire us to really harness the substance, that dark matter that we're sitting in right now,
Mhm.
because we're in a period of transition. We're in a period where there's a falling away of an old way, an old world, and a new one is being reborn. So that gives us an opportunity to express what's within us, because what's within us, our purpose is always made for the time that we're living in.
Yes.
So if there's anybody on here who's listening and you have something that's been in you that you've been wanting to do, but maybe you haven't had the courage, maybe you feel like the time hasn't been right for you to do it yet, don't delay it anymore. Rah, hold on a sec. Don't delay it anymore. Now is the time. Now is the perfect time. There's never been a better time
Yes.
to tap in that and be a part of, bringing in a new world. So, that's what we're going through right now. And yeah, just keep in mind that, you have to go down before you go up. I always kind of come up with a word for every year that I go through. And a word that I gave myself in the past was, this is going to be the rah rah. Just hold on,
All
please.
right, it's time.
I know. So a word that I had gave myself in the past was, I said, this is going to be my year of building foundations. And I was thinking like, oh, I'm starting here and it's only up from here. But what I didn't realize when I said that was that foundation is actually at the bottommost level of a
Mhm,
building. You
mhm,
have to go down
mm.
sometimes before you go up. Just like that seed, when you're trying to bring a new, you have this, I want to grow this broccoli over here. I got to put
Yes.
that
You
seed
gotta
in the
bury that
soil.
seed.
Exactly. And it has to sit in a period of darkness to germinate, to even get that spark of life. It has to go in darkness first. So I want us to all just kind of keep that on our minds as we're going through. We don't know what's getting ready to happen from tomorrow to next week, day to day. It's always something new.
Yes,
But
so
we
much.
have to keep that in our mind that we're kind of going through like the contractions of a new world coming into being, kind of those labor pains before it comes. So I hope that was, right for somebody to hear right
That was
now.
right for me to hear right now, very reaffirming because there's definitely dark times and I can I will at least I'm usually not a person that's like me, but I'm gonna pat myself on the back for taking all these
Yes.
extreme highs and lows and dealing with them how the way that the me 9 months ago, 10 months ago would not have been able to deal with. So thank you so much for your words. Everyone is applauding. Wow. Yes. Great message. How can, for those who don't follow you, how can people connect with you?
Yes, so you can find me at Mahnal on Instagram, Mahnal.com.
Mahnal.
That's right. At Mahnal on Instagram, Facebook, Mahnal.com online. That's where you can find me. Feel free to DM me if you ever have any questions. Of course, if you want to shop, we do virtual appointments in the studio. So if you want to come in virtually, we'll do like a little video, like a Zoom, meeting with you and help you style jewelry, plan for gifts. We'll try on pieces for you so you can kind of see how they look. So yeah, I'm, here and open as a resource, whether you want to shop for jewelry or anything else.
Yes, and also on the website, you guys can sign up for the newsletter. Sometimes I really look forward to
Yes.
reading mine. They're always so creative and interesting, and she shares a little bit of her gems in there sometimes. So that's how you receive information. Make sure you sign up for her newsletter as well on the website. Um, Thank you so much for your time. Rara,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing your mother with me.
uh, he found his dad now, like, of course, as
Of
we're
course,
ending.
as we're ending it, it's okay.
uh,
All right. Well, you enjoy the rest of your night, the rest of your year. I'm sure we'll connect soon. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We don't have any more sessions this month, but next month I have something special for a special guest for Valentine's Day. So make sure you guys stay tuned, sign up for my newsletter so you can get that. And we're going to call it a night. Thank you guys so much. Bye, Sheba.
Hi. Thank you all for joining.